One big challenge that comes with adolescence is expectations. Expectations really hone in on this part of your life because it's a developmental stage. So, first off, there's school. So, there's academic achievements, and there's a competitive environment, especially in school, where people want to do the best that they can, as well as their life paths and everything. So, in school, there's expectations that you have to behave well and that you're expected to go to college and you're just expected to do the best and get the most awards. And during that time period in adolescence, that's a challenge because we're all not naturally good at certain subjects and we're all not the best at social norms and rules. Another expectation is emotional regulation. So, as I mentioned before, social norms. They're expected to automatically know how to behave. They're expected to automatically know all the social rules and what's deemed normal, and that doesn't really allow for creativity. Adolescence is not merely just a social construct. I think that there's a lot of different things that affect how it's experienced, whether that be biology, psychology, economic status, social interactions. Those all play a part in how it is experienced, but I wouldn't say that adolescence itself is just a social construct. It's a part in a person's life, and definition and conceptualization of adolescence is that it's a transitional period in a person's life that they develop physically, socially, mentally, and intuitively. I believe that there's just a gradual developmental shift in a person's life where they gain that autonomy and responsibility. I personally think it's from 10 to 17, although I have heard that it is also from 10 to 19, but I believe after 17, they really gain that responsibility and that freedom that they have to really do pretty much whatever they want. So I think adolescence starts at that time and ends at that time. Adolescence is not the same for everyone. There's personal aspects that affect how it's experienced, like puberty, biological changes, intellectual changes, and it's just not the same for everyone, and they do happen at different times, so it could be a range. I believe that adolescence is universal in terms of its definition. For example, it may begin at 15 when you have a quinceañera for a Hispanic family, or it could be 13 when you're having a bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah for a Jewish family, or if you're in traditional American cultures, you have a sweet 16 and you get your driver's license, and that's when adolescence starts. So I feel like adulthood and adolescence can differ in terms of where you grew up and those cultural differences as well as those social norms. I would say that my experience does come close to my definition. I feel like that I really started to develop socially and mentally when I was around 10 years old, going into middle school, that developmental time, as well as up until around 17 or 18. That's when I feel like my developmental time period really ended and I feel like I knew who I was. Some challenges that I foresee with future generations during the adolescence time period is bullying, whether that be cyberbullying or bullying in person, that as well as political issues. I see gun control issues that can affect their performance in school, their academic life as well. And then as well as social media that can also impact their adolescence. Again, either bullying, their academic achievements, seeing other people living their life and then comparing themselves to that. That could be something that could negatively or positively impact their life, but I feel like that could be a challenge for future generations, and that's something that they do have to navigate, which could be a little bit harder now. I believe that adolescence is very important. As I mentioned before, it is a developmental time in your life. You're developing physically, emotionally, mentally. It's like a big change in your life, and I feel like that is important and that should be celebrated. But it also is challenging, which is also very hard on somebody. I don't think that having necessarily a different or a bad adolescence is the end all be all. I think that you can still develop in life, and I just feel like we're constantly getting better, constantly growing. I think that I still even grow as a 20-year-old, and I feel like I will continue to grow throughout grad school and later on in my life, but I feel like that is developmental. That's learning who you are as a person. So it is important and it should be celebrated. When going through adolescence, I feel like there's a gradual increase in expectations, roles, and responsibilities. So, of course, there's academic responsibilities, applying to college, getting good grades, engaging in your school community. Also, there is family roles. So, you may be expected to do just a little bit more with chores and responsibilities around the house, taking care of a younger sibling, things like that. As well as social expectations. So you're expected to maintain friendships. You're expected to have social interactions with people, learn etiquette, learn how to behave. And there also is personal responsibilities. There's no one really watching over you anymore, so you kind of have to just learn how to do it on your own, which could be scary, like managing your own time. You also have to develop that independence to take care of yourself, which is also scary. But there's a lot of roles and expectations that gradually do come with the adolescence time period.